Welcome to Entertainment Extra with yours truly, Joe Crawford, here on RemicTV.com. And I'm noticing I talk a lot with my hands, and I've had some comments of people who watch the show saying I talk a lot with my hands. I can't help it. I'm Italian. I talk a lot with my hands. I can sit on my hands, I guess, but then I feel like I'm going to have a stroke or a seizure because I just want to be so expressive. I got to use my hands. And I got to use my hands to tell you all that you can win $500 on RemicTV.com. And all you have to do, it's very simple. Refer your friends to RemicTV.com. And if they sign up, the more sign-ups that you get, the better chance you get of winning $500. And then the last month of the contest, are we stepping it up here on RemicTV.com? I don't know where they're getting this money from. I'm maybe taking it out of my salary, probably. $10,000 could be yours. So, refer your friends to RemicTV.com. We have a lot of fun here on RemicTV.com. We have all the different shows that we have, and we have What's Going On, The Elephant Room, and then we have Entertainment Extra, and a whole wide variety of different shows, all for you out there in internet land. So make sure you have your friends come join in too. Our guest for today is Annie Korzen. You're saying, that name sounds familiar. I wonder where I've seen her before. Annie Korzen has done some guest appearances on Seinfeld. Yes, she was the recurring Doris Clompus in the Florida condo, and the other an obnoxious airplane passenger. Also been on ER, Judging Amy, Hannah Montana, Transformers even. Annie Korzen. She's joining us here, and she's going to give us a little hint on how to live thrifty. I definitely need to know this because I do collect coupons, and I collect a lot of coupons. And you know what? One time I went and I bought 6 Nestea 2-liter bottles or cartons of iced tea, and they were on for $1, and I had a $1 off coupon. I got all 6 for free. Isn't that wonderful? Oh. And if I want to learn this, I want you to learn this too, because you could be saving yourself some money. See, not only is there entertainment value, there's also a learning value to it too, because I want you all to learn. And we'll have our word of the day for you to know as well, and fact of the day coming up in just a bit. But first, in Orlando, Florida, riot police were called to handle a crowd of people who went nuts outside a Foot Locker store. They were lining up to buy the new $220 Nike Galaxy when a shoe riot started. You know, I was once involved in a shoe riot, and all I had to do was just take off my shoes in a crowded airplane. Stinky. Cher has announced, do you believe in love after love? Yeah, my bad Cher impersonation. Cher announced she'll do a concert tour later this year. I guess she's due. It's 15 years since her first farewell tour. It's been 10 years since her second farewell tour. And 5 years since her, this is definitely my final farewell tour. And well, she's coming back again. NASA scientists announced they have discovered a black hole where the solar wind is blowing at a record-breaking 20 million miles per hour. Put all my ex-girlfriends together and they don't even blow that much. But anyways, wasn't this an episode of Star Trek? The solar wind was so strong that it blew off Captain Kirk's toupee. A study shows about 1 in 6 surgeons have a drinking problem. Researchers show that if you watch my show, you can end up with a drinking problem. No. Also hitting the booze, 6 out of 6 plastic surgeons who've worked on Joan Rivers have an alcoholic problem. And Kate Gosselin was interviewed on TV not so long ago, and in the interview she said she's very lonely. It's just a matter of time until there's a reality show, so you think you're more pathetic than Kate Gosselin. How are you lonely? You got Kate +8, so come on, you can't be that lonely. Annie Korzen is going to be joining us momentarily, but first, have you ever wondered about your fruit, especially the orange? And how do these words come about in the English language? Well, believe it or not, the fruit was called orange before the color was called orange. It's like the chicken before the egg kind of deal here. The word orange appears in the English language as early as the 13th century, but referring to the fruit, never the color. The earliest reference to the word orange as a color is found in the 16th century. So, between the 13th century and the 16th century, or even before the 13th century, how do they decide the color orange? Well, the color orange was previously called geoluharide, which just meant yellow-red. I think orange is a lot easier to spell than geoluharide, and a little easier to say as well. Stick around because we have Annie Korzen giving us tips and hints about thrifty living and how you too can also save on your grocery bills and even your house bills. Here on Entertainment Extra with Joe Crawford on RemixTV.com. Welcome back to Entertainment Extra with yours truly, Joe Crawford, here on RemixTV.com. And a lady I would like to call as a friend because she's done my radio show quite a few times, and I had to get her on my TV show now here on Entertainment Extra on Remix TV. Is now joining us via Skype, Miss Annie Korzen. How are you doing, darling?
I'm doing great, darling. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Now, I love you because more than one reason. Because, first of all, I love your work that you've done on Seinfeld and Hannah Montana and Transformers. But I also love you even more because if it wasn't for your help, you probably have saved me a lot of money on thrifty living.
You're kidding. I love hearing that. I always say that. I always say when I show the book, can you see the book? I always say if you buy this book for $12.99, you will probably save at least $1,200. So there's a good deal, right?
That is right, and that is your book, Bargain Junkie, Living the Good Life on the Cheap. And it is true, you can live the good life on the cheap. And Annie, first of all, let's talk a little bit about fashion, because especially the women more so than the men, they love to get maybe the bigger brand names, and it's always too expensive. But how can you do fashion on thrifty living?
Okay, I'm going to give you 3 fast examples. Besides thrift shops and yard sales, do you call them yard sales in Canada?
Oh, yes.
Or they're called yard sales. Okay, besides those things, you know, we say down here, used is the new black. I've seen well-known models and actresses prowling the racks at Goodwill or one of those places. But I'm going to give you some really kind of special tips. The shirt that I'm wearing is silk. It's made in Italy. It came with the original price tag of $275. I got it at a church rummage sale where they said, fill up a bag for $5.
Come on.
So this shirt probably cost me like 75 cents. Okay, that's number 1. All the jewelry that I'm wearing is signed Mexican Toxco. This ring, this bracelet, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. I got them on eBay, and here's the trick about eBay. Misspell what you're searching for. In other words, I didn't search for signed Mexican silver, I searched for signed Mexican sliver. Because there's always some seller who has a typo, and you'll be the only buyer, the only bidder. So this $50 bracelet I got for $7.
Wow.
Okay, so is it safe for the guys if you want to buy your sweetheart a present on eBay, a Chanel bag? Look for Channel or Chanel, misspell it, and you'll be the only bidder. And last on fashion, one of the most overpriced items is sunglass frames, eyeglass frames. They are incredibly overpriced. What I'm wearing is LA Eyeworks. These are my very cool LA. People stop me on the street to compliment me on these. They're like $300–400 frames. What happened was, I got the frames for $5 at a yard sale. The lenses were all scratched up though. Right. So I just took them to my guy and replaced the lenses, put in my prescription. That cost me between $40 and $60. For $65, I have a $400 pair of very cool designer frames.
You're probably
session for today. How's that?
That is awesome. You're probably wearing $1,000 worth of items, and it didn't cost you no more than $100, less than $100.
You're absolutely right. That's it.
Wow.
Exactly.
Now, how did you discover, first of all, the eBay, the misspelling one? How did you come across that?
You know, I think it happened by accident. I think what happened is I was looking for something and accidentally misspelled it. And before I could correct myself, I saw, oh my God, there are things listed here. So, you know, it was just one of those things that I came across, you know, like in science, you know, trial and error, or just, you know, it was just one of those lucky accidents.
Wow, very good accident, that's for sure. My goodness. Annie Korzen we're talking with, giving us some thrifty living ideas. Her book is Bargain Junkie, Living the Good Life on the Cheap. You may recognize... Yeah, that's right. And you may recognize Annie. She's done some TV work on Seinfeld and Hannah Montana. And I tell you...
Texas and Whitney, do you have those shows yet?
Which shows is it?
Whitney.
Oh, yes, on NBC.
Whitney, right. Whitney and the X's, yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so, and Annie, even though she's an actress, is living the good life on the cheap and saving the money and helping us here save the money on Remake TV. Now, everyone wants to decorate their homes, and everyone wants to have beautiful items in their home to decorate. Now, how can one person do that?
I have a general philosophy about everything in my life. I do not buy anything that will not increase in value, which means I will never buy a new car, because as soon as you drive it out of the lot, you've lost, what is it, 20%, you know, like a quarter of what you just paid.
Yeah.
And when it comes, and so the same thing comes to home decor. I do not go to Pottery Barn or IKEA or Crate and Barrel or any of those commercial mass-produced places, because number one, I want what I own to be unique and express me, and number two, I don't want, as I say, I want to get things that will increase in value. So my home is filled with one-of-a-kind antiques and things that I forage for at yard sales and thrift shops and estate sales. But at one point, we had a set of dining room chairs that we had gotten when we got married. They were plain wood. I'm going to show you here. Can you see this? This is what they look like.
Yeah.
Can you see this?
Yes, we do.
So there was a plain light wood, bent wood chairs, very practical, very comfortable, but they got old and scratched up and scruffy, and they were getting to be a real embarrassment. And I didn't know what to do, and I said to my husband, Benny, I guess we're going to have to bite the bullet, go to IKEA, get some chairs that everybody else in the world would have. I was not happy about it. Then I thought, my husband, Benny, is a very talented artist, a hobby artist, but very talented. I said, why don't you take the chairs that we have, there's nothing wrong with them structurally, and see what you can do to spruce them up. So here's what he did.
Oh my gosh, how beautiful is that?
He did each one, 12 chairs differently. He painted each one in a different pattern, different colors. I have such a sense of pride now when people walk into my dining room. By the way, they're for sale. Everything I'm showing you is for sale. Just make me an offer.
There you go.
Or I'll rent out my husband to paint you. See this? All this cost us was the price of the paint and the varnish. Right?
Wow.
And we have something that we have a sense of pride of, that feeds us spiritually, I might say, you know. And isn't that better than just going and buying some cheaply made stuff that everybody else in the world has?
Exactly, and it's one of a kind.
And totally one of a kind. Totally one of a kind.
Well, that's amazing. Now, AnnieKorzen.com is a website, and Korzen's Korzen. And everyone usually hates the time around Christmas or birthdays to give gifts, and because especially Christmas time, it gets to be very, very expensive. How can we cut down the cost on gift giving?
First of all, I don't wait for occasions to buy gifts. I buy them all year round. If I see something in my, you know, since I'm always looking at stuff, if I see something brand new and packaged and interesting, I'll buy it. I put it in a big bag in my closet. And when I need to bring a house gift or a birthday gift or whatever, I just, you know.
Because you may never see it again, though. Like if you yeah, like
you have to grab it when it's there because it might be gone next week. I've got all kind. You know, I got like a beautiful mid-60s fondue set, unused ceramic. You know, something that you pay in a mid-century store between $50 and $100 for, and I got it for a few bucks at a thrift shop. But the worst thing in gift giving for women is the bridal shower. Oh, by the way, before I get to that, you know what I often give as gifts? I give restaurant coupons. Do you have, I'm sure you have restaurant.com in Canada.
Well, we kind of have like Groupon.com.
One I haven't had that much luck with, but there's something here called restaurant.com. Does that exist in Canada?
I actually haven't looked it up, but if our viewers do look it up in Canada.
They do. We have restaurant.com, we have Blackboard Eats. There are these various sites where you get restaurant coupons, and I often give those as gifts. And they often go on sale, so for $4 I can buy a $50 voucher for a good restaurant, and that's a really nice gift. People appreciate that. It's like you're giving them, you know, like you give them money. But the worst thing for women, for me anyway, is the bridal shower. After you spent all the money, when you get an invitation for a wedding, right? You bought your dress, you gave a $100 check or a gift or whatever from the registry, then you're invited to a bridal shower where you're expected to give another gift. And you have to sit there, and it goes like this. The bride goes, oh, a coffee pot. Oh, an ice cream maker. And, you know, after 10 minutes of that, I am ready for a nap, right?
Yeah.
Presents are predictable and uninteresting. So here's what I do. In my various thrift store and estate sale travels, I always buy old linens. I always buy old hankies. I get them for like $1 each, right? I iron them. I put them in a basket. It's a gift of love. I give them to the bride, and I say, these are vintage hankies. They're Victorian, they're lace, they're really linen, they're beautiful. And I say, these are for every woman in the bridal party. And let me tell you that this gift gets the most response. Could you see them?
No, we saw them. Yeah, very nice.
It gets the most response. It's original and it's meaningful. And actually, if you went into an antique store and bought these old hankies, they would cost quite a bit more than what I paid. They're actually, this collection costs more than a coffee maker. And just as more original. And here's my favorite one. Can you see this one?
Oh, yeah, with that says mother, yes.
As mother. Imagine giving that to the mother of the bride a week before the wedding. It's really a meaningful gift. You know, it has some soul.
It has sentiment and heart to it too.
Exactly.
Now, what if people are afraid or maybe ashamed of going thrift shopping? What are some tips that you give to them?
You know, I got to tell you, you brought up an interesting thing. I think in a lot of ways, including with negotiating and bargaining, people are afraid of looking cheap. And I got to tell you, I'm not into cheap. Cheap is a rich guy who's a lousy tipper. There's a difference between cheap and thrifty. Thrifty is honorable.
Right.
If you do it with class, if you do it in a friendly, civil way, and I think people don't understand, I'm going off on another subject here.
That's okay.
Not just shopping, that nowadays you can negotiate the price of just about anything. And I'm talking including in a fancy department store. I have a friend who went 2 weeks ago to Bloomingdale's, or I don't know, what's your fanciest chain store in Canada?
Oh, a fancy chain store in Canada.
Department store. Do you have Saks or Bonds?
Oh, the Bay.
Is that it?
Bay or Marshalls.
Marshalls is not fancy enough. I'm talking really high-end.
Okay, well, the Bay then would be the higher end.
Okay. Well, I have a friend who went into Bloomingdale's, which was one of our fancy stores, and she was in the jackets department. She found a great blazer she really liked. The price was more than she wanted to pay. She asked the sales girl to bring over the manager, and the manager came over, and my friend said, look, I love this jacket. It's more than I can pay. It's almost the end of the season. You have quite a few left. And the manager on the spot gave her 25% off.
Wow.
Now, who would think of it? Even I have to confess, I would never have thought of bargaining in a fancy department store.
No, and
Civil, she was friendly, and she was honest. And you can do that. I have a friend who was looking at a house, beautiful mid-century house, which is her period. It was kind of run down, and she knew that all the other interested buyers were going to use it as a tear down.
Right.
They just wanted the location. They were going to tear it down and put up some new piece of crap. My friend said to the owner, who was the original owner, this old lady who had built the house, my friend said to her, look, I can't match these other bids, but if you sell me the house, not only will I not tear it down, but my husband and I really respect the integrity of this architecture, and little by little we will restore it to its original glory. She got the house, even though hers was the lowest bid.
Wow. And see, the worst they can say is no then.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. What are you losing by offering? But again, as I say, in a civil and friendly way. And I'll give you a funny tip. When you're negotiating in any place, you can negotiate in hotels, you can negotiate in a fancy eyeglass store. When you're negotiating, first thing you do, ask the other person's first name. Because as soon as you say, listen, Linda, I got a problem here, it just immediately establishes a friendly, intimate bond.
Nice. A good tip there by Annie Korzen. And talking about you can more or less bring down the price almost to anything. You travel all over the world on doing your shows that you do, your solo performances.
Traveling, yeah.
Yeah, Yenta Unplugged and the Yenta Cometh. And
right.
you can even bring down the price in travel too, no?
Yes, in a lot of ways. First of all, which we're not so used to here in the States, I don't know if it's any different in Canada, but when Americans travel in Europe, they forget to use public transportation.
Okay.
You know, a cab from Heathrow to central London is about $100.
Wow.
Seriously, that's how expensive London is. You can get on the tube right at the airport. It's a lovely ride. Most of it is above ground, and it's a couple of pounds to Leicester Square.
Right.
So that's a big difference. The other thing in traveling, my husband is Danish, so I spent a lot of time in Copenhagen, which is one of the most expensive cities in the world, and I like to eat out. Well, if I go to tourist restaurants or typical Danish restaurant, forget it. It is unbelievably exorbitant. So what I do there is what I often do here. I stick to ethnic places. In the middle of Denmark, there's a Turkish buffet restaurant that's like $12 for 25 different courses, as much as you want, in a beautiful garden. What's wrong with that?
Nothing, nothing. I know when I went to Italy, it was cheaper to stand up and eat than it was to sit down and go actually have a meal. We went to Italy in 2000, and I won't forget it. It cost $40 for my mom and I to sit in a cafe to have 2 bowls of soup, a drink, and a sandwich, where then later on, the next day, we said, holy crap, that's a lot of money. Then later on, we found out we went to a deli, grabbed a loaf of bread, half a pound of salami, some drinks, and it was like $6.
Heaven. No, it's heaven. Funny you should say Italy, because Italy is my heaven. That's the place I'd rather go than anywhere. And I'll tell you a couple of things about Italy. First of all, let's say you're going to Rome.
Right.
Benny and I were going to Rome. The cheapest, lousiest, crummiest hotel in Rome was $200 a night. We were going to be there for 3 nights. And that's a lot of money for us.
Yeah.
We went to a little seaside suburb that's like a half-hour train ride out of Rome. In other words, what I'm saying is, you don't have to stay in the center of town.
Right.
We found this little suburb, Fregene, I forget how you pronounce it. Charming place, had a lovely room with a full breakfast for $80 a night.
Wow.
And in the morning, we just take the pleasant little commuter train in. We were in Rome in 25 minutes. So that's a big savings. That's leaving you a lot of money to do to splurge maybe on a fancy, what is this? Am I being blocked here?
Are you being blocked?
Do I rip something here?
What's going on?
Okay.
All right.
Because the other thing about travel, and I do this in Italy too, we never stay if we can help it. at big hotels, at chain hotels. We never stay at hotels. We stay at B&Bs, at bed and breakfast. There are a lot of sites on that, on the internet, but let me show you where we stayed 2 hours north of Rome, near Orvieto, in a place called Bolsena.
Okay.
Which is, I'm sorry, I'm looking here for my visual.
That's all right.
And I'm not, you know,
we're speaking with Annie Korzen here, giving us some thrifty ideas about traveling, and we're talking about...
1 second.
Yeah.
Away.
And Annie Korzen here is, you can visit her website, anniekorzen.com. And she has here a visual about a B&B, or that we were talking about trying to save money. And Annie, back to you.
Okay, so I found this B&B. Now, in Italy, they have this system called agriturismo, which means agricultural tourism.
Right.
Which means a farm or a vineyard is allowed to rent a couple of rooms as long as they make most of their money from agriculture. Now, this was a farm. We got our meals there. Dinner consisted of about 6 courses with a different wine at each course. Everything grown organically on the property, from the olive oil to the mushrooms, to the wine, to the bread, to the prosciutto.
Beautiful.
This was the view from our room.
Oh, look at that. Oh, my gosh.
This is heaven on earth. And for all this, we paid for the 2 of us something around $200 a night.
See.
Now, breakfast again, and also breakfast was an enormous buffet with cheese, with homemade jams, with homegrown fruit. I mean, it was, I mean, you can tell that I'm a foodie. It was, and plus we got to know the owner, the host, and we got to know the other guests because it was so small. So it was such a different experience than staying in some anonymous hotel that looks the same all over the world.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
I do, definitely, Annie Korzen. Now, have you always been this thrifty, or with your background, I don't want to be racist or anything, with your parents, because you're Jewish, I'm Italian, and I'm very thrifty too, but have you always been this thrifty?
My parents were immigrants, and basically they were poor. They were poor working people. My father was a tailor. My mother never worked. So I was brought up in the Bronx, and we had very limited means. And I was little, I resented it. I hated my parents for always being so cheap and always being so stingy, and I wanted all the things that all my friends had. But as I grew older and I got married, my husband and I are both freelancers. We do creative work. And there's never regular income. We've never had a regular job, but we wanted to live well. So we learned how to live well, dress well, travel, eat well, without spending a lot of money.
And this is great that you're sharing it with everyone. Now, we're talking about discounts and getting the price to go down. And I want to just prelude into this next story here, but there are ways that you can get some stuff for free. And I want to tell you a story quickly before we go into yours here about your freebies. But I ended up getting coupons, and I mean, it's just iced tea, but you know what? Iced tea is iced tea, and it's beverages. And there was a coupon that I got 6 of 4 for $1 off. And then it happened to be a few weeks later, this coupon, or this product, was 99 cents in the store. Took the 6 coupons, went in, I got 6 cents paid to me, plus the 6 iced teas. It was the best freebie I've ever had in my life. Now, you gotta
I never heard of somebody getting money back from a coupon.
Oh, I got 6 cents back. I was so happy.
That's hysterical. Well, okay, I'm like you. My favorite number is free. And a lot of people don't realize that on Craigslist, under the for sale category, they have a subcategory called free. I know people who check that category every single day. I don't, I just forget about it. But there are people giving away stuff every day. We got free mulch for our garden. We have a big front and backyard, and this is LA, there's no water.
Right.
So we have a very thirsty garden, and we don't want to waste water, because part of being thrifty is also being green. I went on Craigslist, sure enough, somebody was giving away a mountain, you know, bags and bags, all the mulch I'm looking for my picture. I just can't find my pictures. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And we filled our car with 14 huge bags of mulch, which it would have costed, I don't know, a couple of $100
At least.
And we've gotten patio furniture, we've gotten moving boxes. Craigslist free ad is great. I don't know if you have Free Cycle up there. That's a great site where people join and you either offer to give things away, like I gave away an old computer monitor instead of schlepping it to the electronic waste dump, you know, or you can get, you know, free things. But here's my best free story. I was in Denmark. I stayed with my sister-in-law, who's a very wealthy woman. So we were in this very fancy suburb of Copenhagen, right? And one day she says, listen, we're going to the garbage dump today. Do you want to come? And I said, the garbage dump? Why would I want to? I don't know.
You're in Denmark. That's the first place you want to go is a garbage dump.
Right. I think I'd rather see the Little Mermaid, but fine. Let's go to the dump. Well, we go to this garbage dump, and you know, Denmark is a very progressive country. And in the middle of this clearing where people are throwing their stuff, I've got to get rid of these. In the middle of this clearing is a wooden A-frame structure. In this structure, people put things that they don't want anymore, but they're too good to throw out. And you can go in there and take whatever you want. And this is what I took. This is a mid-century orange ceramic Danish teapot. It probably cost at a good mid-century store between $100 and $25. I got it at the dump. And what I want to propose is, why doesn't every community do this? Every church, every temple, every school, every block, once a week. Have people get together and bring their cast-offs and take whatever you want. Isn't that a great idea?
That would be a great idea, and that's saving a lot of money in doing that and clearing out some space while you're at it too.
And it's also recycling. It's saving the planet. Why we throw out too much stuff?
It's sad to say, as human race, we do waste a lot.
Yes, absolutely, and I really hate waste.
AnnieKorzen.com is the website. You can find her book there, Bargain Junkie, Living the Good Life on the Cheap. All the pictures you saw, like the chairs, like you said, are for sale, right?
Well, I was kind of joking. If somebody makes me an offer, I can't refuse. Okay?
There you go. No, I want you to enjoy that. And Annie, you're more than welcome to come on any time on the show. You're a great person to have on, and definitely, if it wasn't for you, I tell you this much, I would not be able to save as much as I have been saving, or even getting paid to go shopping, even if it was 6 cents.
I love it. Well, I will be contacting because I'm starting a new book on a totally different subject. So you will, I hope, hear from me within the next couple of years.
Okay, awesome. I hope so too. And check out her shows if you're around. Yenta Unplugged and the Yenta Cometh. Just one question, Annie. What's a Yenta?
A yenta is an old-fashioned Yiddish word for a busybody, a woman who's a gossip, a woman who tells everybody how they should live their life. Like I always say as a yenta, the world would be a better place if everybody would just do what I tell them.
And there you go, and do what Annie tells you, because she'd save you a lot of money in the process.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Annie, thank you. You take care.
It was a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Stick around because we have your word of the day on Entertainment Extra with Joe Crawford on RemixTV.com. Welcome back to Remix TV here on Entertainment Extra with Joe Crawford. I want to thank Annie Korzen for all those great tips, and I'm definitely writing them down. I'm going to be watching the show a few times so I can get familiar with what I need to know on how to live thrifty, because the economy and how bad it is, a penny saved is a penny earned, most definitely. Okay? Even my boss can recollect to that. Our word of the day excuse me, our word of the day is bandy. Bandy. B-A-N-D-Y. What does it mean? It means to pass back and forth or give and take. I thought that'd be good because we're trying to learn how to be thrifty. Don't be an Indian giver, though. Don't be an Indian bandy. Give it and take it back. All right? But I want you to be thrifty, and I want you to save a lot of money. And I want you to enjoy all these shows here on RemixTV.com. For Entertainment Extra, I'm Joe Crawford.